What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Scramble podcast brought to you by Old City Sports Network. I'm your host, Chet, and I'm joined with all four of my co hosts this week. It's not like last week, which is me and Tyler holding it down. I got Tyler, Wade, and Jacob. How y'all doing tonight?
Good to
It's
be
good to be
here.
back on.
We good.
Yeah, y'all are Wade and Jacob are the traveling men. They've been all over the place over the past 2 weeks. And y'all were in
2 weeks of knowledge ready and stored up to go.
yeah. Last week we had your volleyball game, your championship tournament. How did that go for y'all?
Pretty quick night at the courts for us. We were one and done. We were the number 9 seed, so we played the 8 seed starting off, and they had a girl who could really serve the ball, and we fell into like a 7-0 hole and never really climbed out of it. Lost, I think, 21-10, and it's just one set in the playoffs, and then winner survives, loser is
It's
out.
cutthroat right there. One set, that's all you got.
Yeah, one of my friends that plays out there, his team went 6-1 in the regular season, and lost to a team that went 1-6 in the first round. But the 1-6 team must have been sandbagging or had some people miss because they went undefeated that night and won the championship. So it can happen, and but we'll be looking forward to the spring league. Probably going to move down to the bottom level, just work on the fundamentals, and hopefully get in the win column.
There we go. Hey, it's the same thing that happened in our intramural softball days.
Yes.
We sucked our first
Took
year.
some beatings.
Yeah, and then
After
3 years, we made it to the championship.
That's right.
It's
All
you
it
get
took
there
was to
eventually.
switch to co-ed, and that's all was needed.
Hey, y'all are starting in co-ed, so maybe if y'all switch to all females and then you're the only male on the team, it'll be an opposite of what we did for softball.
Just put on a wig, and everything will be fine.
But I don't know. If you're playing in an all-female volleyball league, I have a feeling they're probably going to be better than an all-male
There's
team.
some very good all-female teams out there for sure.
So, Jacob, we had you in Baton Rouge, both you and Wade in Baton Rouge. It's not your first time down there in Tiger Town, but you were shocked by how much traffic there was for the game. Where did you have to park? How far away from the stadium did you have to park?
So I parked out by the veterinarian medicine building.
Okay, so you had a little bit of a walk.
A little bit of walk. I was
Not
out there
too
with the
bad.
RVs, you know.
That's what
I
my
like you
parents
park
usually
in the
park.
hayfield lots, nothing like
Yeah.
that.
My parents
so
usually they parked the RV there at that lot by the vet school, so wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad, but big turnout from the Tennessee faithful. That was crazy. So
They
it's
turned
been
out for a good game, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Well, on
it's been
their
a long
end, at least.
time. So I mean, 12 years is a long time before coming back to Baton Rouge, and they got a pretty good welcome. So it was a good game. It wasn't the loudest game I've ever been at, but it was pretty loud. I mean,
What was it, 11 a.m.? People were
yeah,
probably
it was
still half
11
asleep.
a.m.
Well, it's also the fans had nothing to cheer for, so they
Yeah.
didn't really say anything about that.
True.
Yeah, well, we're going to dive into our LSU breakdown later on in the show. We can't start off on a negative, but we're going to start off on a positive because we've got a winner to announce for our Buffalo Bayou giveaway. And I've got a fancy little thing here popping onto the screen, a wheel of retweets. So everyone that retweeted the tweet and followed us, they got entered into the giveaway. So are y'all ready, Tyler? Cue the Jeopardy music. Let's get a little...
Why is my sliver the narrowest?
Congratulations to F in Sports. I'll send you a DM on Twitter, and we'll get that shirt sent out to you. So thanks again to the Buffalo Bayou Brewing Company for sponsoring our giveaway. Let me throw up their information. If you're ever in Houston, you want to come visit us, you can go on down to Buffalo Bayou Brewing Company, check them out. Great beer, great views of the city, and they got pretty good merch, as FN Sports will see come pretty soon. So let's just hop into some sports. We had a lot going on this week, and I didn't watch a lot of sports games, surprisingly. I was helping a friend move during the LSU game, so that actually worked out better for me, or else I would have been pretty upset. But since Futch is wearing the Titleist hat, and I know none of y'all watch golf, I'm going to give you a recap of what happened on the 18th hole. We had the Shriners Children's Classic. Tom Kim and Patrick Cantlake tied at -24 on the 18th hole. So Patrick Cantlay shot 11 birdies on Saturday. I played golf on Friday. I did not have 11 birdies. I didn't have a single birdie. So got some short game stuff to figure out. But poor old Patrick Cantlay hooks his driver into the woods, then puts 2 balls into the water. Triple bogey. Tom Kim gets his second win before the age of 21. So congratulations to him. And I know none of y'all watch golf, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
I watched golf on Friday at lunch.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
I don't think it was the same tournament. It looked like a team event, and the golfers had numbers on the back of their shirts. What was I watching? They kind of looked like they might be youth golfers. I don't know.
I think there was a junior championship going on.
Okay.
That's first tee, I believe. They do
yeah.
Yes, it was on, as well as was the Major League Baseball playoffs. So I was kind of splitting action there during my lunch break. So,
well, you said the first tee program. It's actually pretty cool because it's like a charity for golf, and you donate to it, and they go into communities that where like golf isn't really a big thing, and they give them clubs and teach them how to play the game, and just kind of like it's like an after school program. So they give them a good thing to do after school, and not get in trouble. Just go out on the golf course and then hate yourself for the rest of your life when you can't.
Give them a lifetime of stress.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was cool. It was on ESPN too. I mean, pretty good
cool.
exposure.
Yeah, getting that out there. Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool charity that they have. So that's awesome that they got some good exposure. One thing I wanted to say was Tom Kim was bogey free on the entire week. So that's pretty awesome. You don't see that a lot. I mean, Cantlay was 1 away from shooting a 59 on Saturday and just fell apart on the last hole. So I don't know, maybe the partying from the President's Cup 2 weeks ago got to him or what was going on. But it was a close one going down the stretch, and it's setting up to be a fun golf season. But we got a whole lot of other sports going on. Wade, you mentioned the MLB playoffs. We've got our little breakdown since it is a thing happening. I don't watch that much baseball, but I'm representing for my Houston Astros. I don't
watch, but I'm a bandwagon.
Exactly. I moved to Houston, so therefore I have to root for Houston. But so our MLB playoff breakdown is going to be brought to you by Righteous Felon Jerky. You can head on over to righteousfelon.com to get your jerky fix and use code OCSN for 15% off. I got a text today. I need to order some more. I ran out. I just haven't had some. They sent me a coupon code, and I can use our coupon code to get 25% off total. So I'm going to have to get me some more of that spicy Jersey. Maybe send you a habanero pepper, or what was it, Carolina Ghost Reaper, Wade? Send that up
Carolina Reaper.
Do you think you can handle it?
I've eaten one before, straight up. So, the beef jerky would be a
it.
nice little side flavor,
Yeah.
It's good.
So first thing I want to get into, Albert Pujols' career comes to.
All right, I was wrong. It's not a conspiracy. He cleared the bar by 6 home runs.
Yeah, so I think that was a wrong take by us. But
I think the man's got some momentum, and he didn't want to be the guy who ended up at 699. So
yeah. Well, so I think the Phillies beat them 2-0. Am I right? Yeah. So
it was a sweep.
Our Old City Sports Network, you can see them in the top right corner there. All big Phillies guys.
Inter-network rivalry now.
Yes.
Starting this week.
Yeah. So our network's big Philly fans, but we got a bunch of Braves fans, minus me and Futch. I don't know, Futch, you might be a Braves fan. We got Tyler and Wade, big Braves guys. What do y'all think is going to happen once this series kicks off? Once the NLDS starts?
You can hit it, Tyler. I'll let you
lead
us off.
Really, I just look at the schedule. We have all day games for this series, and that is a bad thing for the Braves because the Braves offense just goes to sleep during the day. So I think the big thing for Atlanta is getting Strider back. I think if he can get him back, I think to me this is going to go 5 games. It just feels like these teams know each other. I think that this series is going to go the distance. I know a lot of people are going to pick the Braves, but I think, the Phillies are hot, and, with their pitching staff that they got with Wheeler and Nola at the top, I think it's just going to be of a whale of a series. So I think that it's going to go the distance.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing it's a 5-game series because you're going to get to see the whole rotation, like you said. And for the Braves, I trust the Braves rotation just a little bit more, especially with the extra game in Atlanta. I mean, really, Max Fried and Spencer Strider should go punch for punch with Wheeler and Nola. And then you got a guy like Charlie Morton who, while he's been kind of washed as the season's gone down the stretch, he's been there, done that. So you got to think he could hold it down. Maybe in a road atmosphere, game 3 situation, and then hopefully one of the young guys like Bryce Elder could step up and get a win for the Braves. So yeah, I like the Braves in that series, but Bryce Harper's a
Can't
Braves
forget
killer.
about Kyle Wright either. He's
And
got
Kyle Wright will be our third
Or
guy.
my boy Dansby.
Yeah.
Dansby's
And
going to come in
Dansby's
there
been pretty
and
hot too.
raking.
So yeah,
Time to re-sign that man. Give him a long-term contract.
I don't
especially
know.
if they
Hopefully
go
it's in the
back to back.
cards. Yeah.
So I know the MLB recently restructured the playoffs format because
Mhm.
I liked the wild card single elimination. You win or you go home.
I like this.
I know
new
that Wade
setup.
likes these best of 3.
Is it 7? Is it this NLDS? Is it best of 3 or is it a 7-game?
It's like a best of 5. So
Okay.
the
So it goes
first
5
it
and
goes
7.
the
3,
first team that
5,
wins 3
7.
games advances.
Okay. So second NLDS series that's playing is actually going on right now with the Mets and the Padres tied at 1-1 on the series. Padres were up 4-0. Do we have a score update? Has anything else changed in that
Still
game?
4-0, top of the 7th.
4-0, top of the 7th. So looking like the Padres can get it done unless the Mets stage a comeback, and they'll take
That's
on
going to
the
be a good
Dodgers.
series between the Padres and the Dodgers. I mean, those two teams know each other as well.
Inter California series right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the battle for the state. And speaking of a comeback, I don't know if y'all go ahead, Fletch.
I'm kind of disappointed though. Like, as much as Wade and Tyler disliked the Mets, the thing is that the Mets had a 10.5 game lead at one time.
I don't think they really blew it. I think the Braves were just like, they were the best baseball team.
Well, all you got to do is play 500 baseball. I mean,
they played more than that. They went like
The
78
schedule's
and
even out
22.
there. They were playing like the Marlins and the Nationals every other game, and we were playing the Phillies.
Hey, don't hate on the
Brewers.
Marlins.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets had a cupcake of a schedule, and they couldn't even get the job
It
done. They
all
got
evens
swept by
out.
the Cubs. They lost the series to the Nats. So, I mean, that's just the Mets being the Mets.
I mean, they lost a lot of series because, number one, there was no closing pitching from the Mets late in the season, I think, and it kind of it led into the lack of offense in late innings in games, and they just couldn't hold on. I mean, that's something that if there's teams that are playing that don't have a shot, they're just going to do whatever they can just to go out there and perform. I mean, they're not playing for anything, so there's nothing that they got to worry about. So they're loose. They go out there and play. So I mean, there was a lot of pressure on New York, knowing that Atlanta was right on their tail the whole time. I think Atlanta hit their stride at the right time. I think what the problem here is that Atlanta is playing a team that just came off of 2 big wins. You've been resting for a little bit, so is it going to be the Phillies continuing what they've been doing in the series, and the Braves taking a couple of games in order to get back into it, or is Atlanta going to answer the bell immediately? I mean, I think that series is the battle of pitching. I think it's going to be, for me, it's 2 starters and then the closers. It's generally what happens in baseball. I mean, if you've got 2 good starters and a good closer, most of the time you're going to win a series. So if Kenley Jansen is going to be the guy for Atlanta, I think Eflin's probably going to be the guy for Philadelphia. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, it'll be, will the Braves offense win or Phillies pitching win? And I'm not sure. I can't answer that question, but I think it's going to be a good series though.
So we've got a comment from our YouTube responding to that, Fletch. Thomas, how you doing, Thomas? He says he thinks the Phillies need to take advantage of Nola in the Wheeler games. Well, and he didn't finish that comment, so I'll let you know when he finishes that comment. But no, well, if you ask anybody,
we have to answer the prompt.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So why do you think that the Phillies need to take advantage of Nola and Wheeler games, Fletch?
I think I think they need to take advantage of it because they don't have anything after that. I mean, that's the issue with the Phillies. I mean, once you get into games 3 and 4, if Wheeler throws an entire game, saying he throws over 100 pitches, he's not going to see any more time in the series unless it's a game 5. So I think it's if they want to take some games, I mean, they're going to have to take one in Atlanta in order to have a chance. I mean, that's ultimately what has to happen. And if they get it early, that's probably better for them. So if they get a game 1 win in Atlanta, Atlanta's already backpedaling, and that's not good for them. I mean, the reason Atlanta was so great last year is because of timely hitting. I mean, that's how they won the World Series. It was just timely hitting. It wasn't
Eddie Rosario and Jorge Soler. Those are the two guys last year.
Yeah, I mean, 2 guys can carry you in the playoffs as far as bats go. I mean, everybody else just got to get on. I mean, it's gonna be loud in Atlanta. I mean, it's a playoff atmosphere, and it's changed a lot in
These
the last
day games, Tyler, are they weekend day games or are they midweek?
No, they're like they start on Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't really like that. I mean,
Playoff baseball midweek.
yeah,
During the day.
I know that they want to get it on TV,
People
at
are at
all
work.
times of the day, but your
Well,
viewership's not going to be good.
New York's going to get the primetime game. I mean, we all know that. That's what's going to happen. So it's
Just do it like March Madness all at once, different networks, 7:00.
Yeah, just roll with it. You got ESPN, TBS. Shoot, you can put it on Peacock for all I care. I mean, just throw it on. I mean, it's already
Put it on
broadcasted
Prime.
on
Prime.
Amazon
Thursday
Live,
Night Football
Apple
this
TV, everything.
Disney Plus, put on
Yeah,
everywhere.
Disney Plus. There we go. Maybe we could have it like Nickelodeon where they have the slime game.
Nickelodeon, have a Nickelodeon game like the NFL. But every time they hit a home run, throw some slime.
So we got the Phillies playing the Braves starting on Tuesday. And then we've got either the Mets or the Padres looking like the Padres, unless the Mets pull a comeback like the Mariners did last night. They were down 7 runs. They came back in the 7th inning to end up beating whoever they played. I don't have it in my notes, and I forgot. The Blue Jays. Thank you. They ended up beating the Blue Jays. They were down 7. They came back to win 10-9. So they'll be playing the Astros in the ALDS here in Houston. Maybe I could score.
We saw that matchup.
Yep.
We did. And we saw the Astros.
Yeah, what was it, like 10-1?
I think it was 13-2.
Oh,
was the final score.
Well, whenever we left, it was 10-1, but yeah, the final was 13-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should be a good series. Maybe I could score me some tickets here in Houston. Oh no, probably not. Because
you can just watch from Buff Brew.
Yeah, I'll just go sit on the balcony of Buff Brew and watch and just peer into the stadium. And our other ALDS matchup we've got the Guardians and the Rays set a record for longest playoff game. Probably the lowest scoring playoff game. Nothing into the 15th inning. So they hit a walk-off. The Guardians hit a walk-off home run, and it was an absolute moonshot over the left field wall. And they'll be taking on the Yankees next week. So we've got Phillies, Braves, Guardians, Yankees, Mariners, Astros, and to be determined versus the Dodgers. Who are we thinking makes it out of those 4 games, Tyler?
I don't want to get that. I'll just give my World Series prediction. So I think that it's going to be Astros, Dodgers, and I'm going to go with the Stros. I think that the Stros, I think that this is their year. I think that, obviously that I want the Braves to win since I'm a Braves fan, but it's always hard to repeat in baseball. I mean, they have a talented team, but when they run to the Dodgers, if they run to the Dodgers, that is, they're going to want revenge. So I think the Dodgers are the best team in the NL. They just have really a complete team. I think that Houston will be able to match that. So I'm going to go give Houston the World Series.
Okay. Wade, what's your take on it?
I'm going to go with the repeat of Braves and Astros, and I'm not ready to pull the trigger on the Braves, but I want to.
Is that a little fan bias right there?
But I do think the Astros are probably the most complete team when the offense is humming. But the Dodgers, I mean, they won 107 games. So that lineup is phenomenal at times. I mean, they do have a few guys that are regular contributors that are hitting like 210 or like, I don't know, 190 or something. It's Justin Turner even over 200. But that pitching staff has been elite at times. I'm not sure how healthy they are right now, if Gonson's back yet, if Heaney's back. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers do advance, but something tells me the Braves use a little bit of magic to get past the Dodgers and then run out of magic against the Astros. And I think that Justin Verlander will take home the MVP with 2 starts, 2 wins, probably like 8+ innings, 1 earned run or something crazy. So
he's been dealing this year.
That's what I would go with, yeah.
Futch, who do you got winning the whole thing?
Well, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you guys, literally. I've got
Guardians.
no,
Mariners.
no. I don't got Cleveland one.
He's
Jesus.
going with the Phillies. Watch. He's trying to make
No,
everybody in the network happy.
I'm actually gonna go Mariners, Dodgers for the World
Okay.
Series. Seattle's riding a 5-game winning streak, so I mean that's end of the year and into the postseason. So beating Toronto was no easy task. So I think they've got a lot of momentum going into the next series, and it'll be interesting. It's a high profile series, and I think if they want to win the series, they have to be able to hit the ball good because their pitching rotation is not as good as Houston's.
We saw Robbie Ray what he did.
Yeah, it's and if that's their ace, it's going to be interesting. So I think there's going to be a lot of offensive action in that series. But I think I got to go with the Dodgers in the NL only because of what Wade said. I mean, they're loaded, and I don't know where they find the money for it, but they do somehow, and that's how it is. And I think it's going to be the pitching for the Dodgers, and of course, Clayton Kershaw hasn't pitched well for the Dodgers in the postseason ever, really. So maybe this year is a different year. I feel like the Dodgers are the better team. I think they'll beat San Diego, and I think they'll end up playing Atlanta. But you'll see a little rematch there, and I think the Dodgers probably get the better half of it this year because of home field advantage.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm not gonna give a winner yet, but I do want to see in
You're the
AL
host.
final.
I didn't give a winner. Shoot, I didn't give a winner.
Yeah, let's just give us two teams.
I got Seattle winning it all.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I want to see in the AL final. I want a rematch of the Yankees and the Astros, and I want the Astros to just blow their doors off so they can get away from all this cheating stuff and just stop talking about it. That's a little home team biased, but I'd like to see. I guess I'll give you my winner.
He wasn't even a fan while that was happening.
I know. I wasn't.
So
I was a White Sox fan, but I got to represent the home team. I'm going to go kind of similar. I think, Tyler, you said it, Astros, Dodgers in the World Series. I'm taking the Stros. I just want to put all the cheating rumors to bed, move on. They win it this year. All that stuff's kind of forgot about, maybe. But so it should be interesting playoffs to follow. We've got Thomas left us another comment. MLB is not smart in their marketing at all. Kind of agree with that, especially he says
most of the major
Phillies
sport leagues aren't either.
Yeah, playing on Friday at 2:00 on ESPN3. So there you go. Just like the NHL playoffs, like when we had the old PSR guys on, and the coach was not happy about the marketing of the NHL playoffs. So that's our MLB playoff recap. Brought to you by Righteous Felon. So make sure you head on over to righteousfelon.com. Use promo code OCSN for 15% off. All right, let's get into our bread and butter, meat potatoes here on Sports Scramble. College football. You said it, Wade. We had a lot of games going on this week. Our upset picks were not good this week. We went 0-4. We started off 4-0, then we went 2-2, and now we're 0-4. So we're back in the loser column. Got to break it down here. Tyler had LSU going over Tennessee. That was wrong, unfortunately. I believe, Wade, you had Florida State over NC State.
I had Missouri beating Florida, which
you should have pulled your South Carolina over Kentucky. That you would have.
Yeah, I did. I picked that on SEC Talk. So.
That's right.
Missouri, I thought that you were gonna roll that over too.
No, I felt more confident about Missouri, but yeah, it was a good game, and they held Anthony Richardson down, but lost by 7.
Yeah, hey, gives LSU fans hope for next week. I had Florida State over NC State, and I was wrong. It was a 2-point game there at the end. And Futch, you had Washington upsetting USC. That one was also close. I think it was 7 or 8 points.
Yeah, it was a close one. I mean,
16.
Washington
14.
Never mind, 16.
Hey,
and you were wrong.
9, so I mean,
1 or 2 possessions.
I'm the oddball out of this group this week.
Well, yeah, we went 0-4 this week, but it's okay. Hey, we accept our losses, but we also accept our winnings. Our parlay almost hit. I think just Auburn they kind of screwed it up for us. We almost had it. We almost had the full parlay, and then Auburn let up a late touchdown to put it over the edge. So upset picks for next week. Tyler, I'll let you start it off.
All right. Well, since y'all like kind of pretty much stole all the good upset picks, I might be the one in the lost column. But I'm gonna go with the Noles over Clemson. It's at home. It's at Doak Campbell. The tomahawk chop is gonna be chopping. I think that Florida State's defense will be able to keep it close against Clemson, but Clemson's offense has just been on fire. So I think that Jordan Travis, if he can play like he did week 1, then I think that Florida State's gonna have the best chance at it. I don't think it's going to happen, but this was the only really upset pick I was left. So Florida State.
I kind of agree with you on that one because they're the reason why I have later on the show, we'll talk about it, but our top 4 teams, that's why I don't have Clemson in my top 4 because I think they either lose to Florida State or they drop a game to Miami at the end of the year.
I agree with you.
Shoot.
I don't know. Crazy things happen.
Like a dumpster fire. They have a better shot of losing to Notre Dame.
Or one of those two. Crazier things have happened.
I agree with you, Tyler. I think Jordan Travis is the quarterback of the year in the ACC. I think he's better than DJ at Clemson. I think he is by far.
I mean, this is going to be like Clemson's last hope of losing, and after that, I think they're just going to go undefeated and run the table.
Well, like you said, they do play Notre Dame in a few weeks, so that also could be a possibility.
Yeah, it is in South Bend too, so you never know.
Yeah, or Miami. Upset alert, Miami.
I don't.
They beat Miami 70-5 last time they played, and that was in South Beach.
Wade, are you pulling for your Clemson Tigers? I know you're a big Clemson fan.
I think they'll win out.
So who's your upset pick this week, Wade?
I saw enough from Tennessee this weekend to move the needle into their direction, and I think they could be the leader in the SEC. Definitely in the East, but I think they could beat Alabama this weekend. So I'm going to confidently say Tennessee will beat Alabama and be the number 1 team.
When do Tennessee and Georgia play?
In 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's going to be now. Tennessee beats Bama this weekend. That is going to be college game day's got to be there.
Get this: Tennessee could beat Alabama, and then they could lose to Georgia. And we'll never get to see Tennessee and Alabama play again. It will be Alabama versus Georgia.
That's it.
And then what do you do in that situation?
Ooh. I just want to see a Tennessee Ole Miss SEC championship. I'm tired of seeing the same old teams.
Yeah, I think it kind of all tells the tale. If Tennessee upsets Alabama this weekend, then they got a real shot at beating Georgia.
Yeah,
we could be in for an interesting finish in the standings.
Yep. Fudge, who do you got?
I got my Nittany Lions of Penn State.
There we go, baby.
Spoiler.
We are.
Woo!
And
we're supposed to finish it.
Penn State.
Well, so
don't even know his own team chant.
I've got them winning in Ann Arbor. I think that Penn State can get it done. They're a veteran group, more experienced than Michigan, and Michigan's looked shaky in the first few weeks and struggling with Indiana in the third quarter this past week, and ultimately they fell down out of the top 4, and I think they're 5th right now. But they just seem like they're just not there. If it's not for their running back, they're not undefeated at this point. So I think that they haven't played anybody at a high caliber. So I think this is the game that can change that. I think it's going to be a close game. I just feel like Penn State has more weapons as far as receivers go and running back go as well.
I like it. I'm definitely going to be watching that one this weekend.
I've
got TCU over Oklahoma State. The Horned Frogs, baby. Max Duggan is a dog. Okay, they go into Kansas, take them down. I know that they lost their start quarterback, but it was Kansas' backup came in and threw for 4 touchdowns. I think they've
Mr. Bean.
Yeah, Mr. Bean. What a name. I saw someone say he's no beanstalk, he's the bean. I was like,
he's got all the beans.
I was like, okay, he's got all the magic beans apparently. But I think TCU gets it done over Oklahoma State. It's in Fort Worth, so they got home field advantage. Oklahoma State has looked good. It's a battle of the unbeatens. and I think they come out on top.
I think whoever wins that is a lock for the Big 12 title.
Yep, definitely.
I think if Kansas wins out, they meet TCU again in the
And
Big
then
12 championship.
it's a
I
battle
think
for a
Texas is
playoff
going to have
spot
something
right
to
there.
say about that.
I mean, yeah,
I
they
mean,
destroyed.
come on. They just
Well, let's
destroyed-
get into it. Let's get into it. The Red River rivalry was not a rivalry game. Texas absolutely blew the doors off Oklahoma, 49-0. I would have loved to see 50, 49-0. And Tyler, take it away. They blew. I mean, Quinn Ewers came back and just was unstoppable.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers is definitely the difference maker of this Texas offense. Bijan Robinson was an absolute dog on Saturday. I mean, Oklahoma defense just couldn't stop him. I mean, Brent Venables, I bet his was, wishing to go back to Clemson, about now. But yeah, Oklahoma
play back in the ACC.
Yeah, Oklahoma is not that good this year. I think that they're going to be like crawling to 6 wins. They might not even get the 6 wins at this rate, the way their defense is going. And I mean, their offense couldn't even score either. So Texas, had the game last year. If you remember last year's game, they were up big, and then Cale Williams comes out of nowhere and puts up 40 on them. So this
put
was
him on the
definitely
map too. That was his breakout game.
Yeah, that was his breakout game. But yeah, hook 'em horns, baby.
Yeah. So Texas came out swinging. You think if Quinn Ewers stayed in the game versus Bama, they win that game?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean he was cooking.
They win
there
by
in
at
the
least
first
like
quarter.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, I hate to say it, but there's no horns down this week. The Longhorns rolled through them. Another game we got to talk about, unfortunately, LSU. Wade and Futch, y'all were at the game. Minus what happened on the field, I want to get y'all's takes on the weekend, on the experience, 11 a.m. game. Wade,
He wants to
what
talk
was it
about
like?
experience because we lost by 37 or whatever.
Exactly. We'll talk about the actual game, but I want to talk about
Or 27.
How many? Yeah, let's talk about the fans leaving all at third quarter.
Yeah. So, Wade, what was it like the whole game? Did y'all tailgate beforehand? It was an early start.
I don't get up at 6 a.m., Chet. No, it was fun. We had a good weekend. Matthew and Mallory came up. Their family had a pretty big tailgate with Matt's little cousin goes to Tennessee. So she had some friends come in, and I guess it was worth the trip for them.
Yeah,
a big win for Tennessee. So it was good. Got to the game about 10 a.m., so not a lot of time for any sort of tailgating beforehand, but it was kind of nice because people either stuck around for the game afterwards and there was a good tailgate environment still, watching the 2:30 games on TV, or some people just booked it out of there, so there was really no traffic. So that was a plus. But, it was good to see Tiger Stadium full all the way up to the nosebleeds. I mean, even the corners were filled in. And it was rocking for an 11 a.m. game. But before too long, all you heard was Rocky Top, and I'm sure Jacob can attest to that. So where I was sitting was definitely right in the heart of Tennessee country. So heard a lot of Rocky Top, and it's a good little tune. So I'm not offended by it. But yeah, it was all Tennessee, and they played not crowd surf. Swag surf, yeah. And you see Hendon Hooker and his wide receiver core in the corner, and they're just going like crazy. And I'm like, oh man, he's about to throw for 400 yards on us. And he definitely had a really good game. So that was probably, it was probably the writing on the wall for the Tigers.
Yeah, Futch, what did you think of the game?
I thought it was a good environment. That's probably the biggest,
nicest thing you can say about the game.
Yeah. It was a good environment. That was the most busy game I've ever been at. The stadium there. That was my 7th game at Tiger Stadium. So I think it was a lot of energy for 11 o'clock in the morning. Normal Penn State games are not that much energy at 11 o'clock in the morning. I can tell you that much. But I think the biggest thing was, yes, I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, Wade, just so I could be there. And I still made it.
We're proud of you.
Yeah, I still made it at 10:30. So I was walking into the stadium at 10:30.
The traffic going in was bad, but the traffic leaving wasn't
so bad.
Yeah, because half the fans were gone.
Yeah. So, but it was, I had a good time. My girlfriend had a good time as well. So we were sitting in the heart of the LSU faithful there, and It was we had some characters in the crowd.
Yeah, I
So,
imagine so.
funny story. I couldn't text you guys because I have terrible connection in that stadium. Concrete walls and
Yep,
cell phones don't work.
we all do.
Yeah. So so I was in there, and this is like third quarter, and at that point, it's a 3 touchdown game, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, this isn't good. And I look down, and the woman in front of me is pointing down at this lady down to the left. She was like 4 or 5 rows down from us, and she's holding this little thing in her hand, and it's orange, and she's like jabbing. I'm like, what the heck is she doing? She made a Tennessee voodoo doll, and she was stabbing it with a needle.
Oh my god!
They're down. LSU's losing by 21, and this woman is just going at it, just stabbing,
ripping its head off. Just taking
Next week it's going to be a Brian Kelly voodoo doll.
Yeah, really.
It was wild. I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, this lady's crazy. And I had a 70-year-old guy to my right, like 2 rows down, that wanted to fight some kid from Tennessee, and they were going at it the whole game. Jeez. And it was wild, but it was a good time. I was able to make it out of there. I think we left with like 10 minutes to go in the fourth. We
not much to see after that. Yeah.
Time. So
hey, you missed Jaden Daniels' first interception of the season.
Yeah, that was the last play of the game.
Well, I was outside the stadium when I heard, interception, and I'm like, oh, nice. I'm glad we got out.
Well, yeah, that game was pretty much over after half when Tennessee came out and scored. I mean, we made it close. Not close, but made it within.
There was a chance right before the half that if Dre Jenkins caught that football and we scored to make it 20-14.
Oh, we had all the momentum going into
it would have been, I feel like, a different ball game. I think we still would have lost, but the fact that we didn't score there and then they went down and kicked a field goal and then scored on the first possession of the second half, that right there was like a 17-point swing. And it was insurmountable.
I made the comment. I was sitting there, and it was like, I think we had 50 seconds left till half or something like that. It was really close. And Tennessee was moving the ball down the field, and I kind of made the comment. I was like, if Tennessee gets points here, they get the ball started the third quarter. I said, this could be, 17-point swing. Yeah. And at that point, it could be over because LSU's offense was stagnant at that point. I mean, if it hadn't been for, Daniels running for 35 yards on one run play that ended up getting that touchdown, I don't think they score. So it was kind of one of those things where it was weird for them to receive the ball at the start of the game anyways. Thought you win the toss. It didn't
work out.
You win the toss and you receive. And I'm thinking Brian Kelly's a defensive, pretty much, I would say it, more of a defensive-minded head coach. And you decide to receive first against a Tennessee defense that is really good. And I just thought that was strange, and they ended up muffing the kickoff. And, I mean, that's all she wrote right there.
Yeah, the woes of the special team definitely continue.
For a guy who puts a lot of emphasis on special teams and will burn 4- and 5-star recruits, redshirt eligibility, just to have them play special teams, like, we don't look that good on special teams.
I think the special teams coach has got to go. One thing, every press conference, Brian Kelly's up there. Oh, I was out coached. I've got to coach better. Yeah, when are you going to start coaching better?
Let me address that. There are two guys
every week
that should out coach him, and that is Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney, because those are the only 2 guys that are getting paid more money per year than Brian Kelly. So
those are honestly the only 2 guys that have beaten him year after year.
Yeah, his decision making, like, you had a 4th down that you went for it, and you should have took the points, like it would have mattered. We got blown out. Well, and then before the half, we have like a 4th and 15 on the midfield, and you go for it, and then you give them like the short field after, they just like ran it up your throats as easy as it could. I mean, it was just a bad game. I mean, going into this, I was
texting.
I was drinking too much of the purple Kool-Aid. I mean, I was high on Tennessee for a reason at the start of the season. I wrote about them.
You need to get back on that orange juice.
I'm back on the orange juice for sure. Well, we'll see on SEC Talk if I keep riding with them. But yeah, it was just an awful show, and it's completely unacceptable.
Yeah, no, I mean, it pisses me off every week. Well, I got to coach better. Well,
I mean,
$10 million.
Where have we heard that before? Les Miles and
Ed
Orgeron said the same crap. So,
well, my assessment of the LSU offseason and the beginning of this season is that there wasn't much emphasis, number one, on correct recruiting, first of all, and there wasn't enough emphasis on developing the pieces that you already had.
He was trying to pull everybody in from outside.
Yeah.
And,
There was
I think
no
where it's biting him in
internal
the butt.
development, so there was no bond there, and it just seemed like everything was kind of thrown together with masking tape at the start of the season, and it was bound to fall apart. I think as soon as that first loss to Florida State, I think you really have to. They should have gone back to the drawing board completely, wipe it clean slate. I know you win the next few games,
But they're
they
a
aren't
Ritz
the hardest.
Cupcake teams. The only
Yeah, they
guy
aren't the
who's got
hardest
is
games
Mississippi
on your
State.
schedule. Sure. So I think number one, everybody's calling for Brian Kelly, for something to happen there, but nothing's going to happen there.
Oh, we signed him out. What was it, three
Yeah,
year, 4 year
we're not.
for a
Trust
ton of
me, we're
money.
not calling for him to fire.
I
He
just
just
want him
needs to
step it
change
up,
something.
and
Yeah.
this isn't
I mean,
Big
okay,
Ten.
I'll just say this: you are LSU. You have enough talent. The way the fact that I'll just go back to the freaking game. To lose 40-13 is completely unacceptable here. Unacceptable. I don't care if
against
you're
anybody.
freaking Les Miles or anybody. It's completely unacceptable at a program as elite as LSU is.
Well, here's the thing, Tyler. Everybody goes through woes, and this is part of the cycle. I mean, you win the national championship in 2019. Something's got to give eventually.
Yeah.
So this is the gift that's going to keep on giving
I mean,
for the next couple of years.
I
Well,
mean,
I think
yeah,
we
Coach
were-
O left this roster in a dumpster fire. So
Yeah, I think we were hoping the last 2 seasons the gift was over, but
Yeah.
it seems like this year kind of the same old thing, and maybe next year when he's got a whole new recruiting class in, hopefully a new special teams coordinator, we'll have something figured out. Because I never expected us to go undefeated this year, but I wanted us to at least make it competitive. I mean, we looked like a high school team out there this weekend.
yeah.
I mean, totally outplayed, totally outcoached. They didn't even look ready from the jump. And I'm looking at the schedule for the rest of the year. We've got Florida next week, which Florida looked bad against Missouri. But Missouri looked great against Georgia, so who knows what that calls for. So
Yeah.
I don't know about that
Who knows?
one. But then you got Ole Miss and Alabama, which those are probably 2 L's unless Ole Miss just falls apart.
Like the first half of Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and then you've got Arkansas. Well, Arkansas has fallen apart just like they did last year. So we'll see about that one. And then UAB, obviously, that's hopefully a win. I mean, you kind of can guarantee that one. And then Texas A&M, they shined against Bama, but besides that, they don't look great. So I don't know. It's not looking great for the rest of the schedule. I'm just glad we played Mississippi State when we did, or else we'd have been embarrassed by their offense as well.
They're playing like
They're
their
playing
hair on
lights
fire
out.
right
We were
now.
their wake up call.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they destroyed Arkansas. It was like
They
40 to
destroyed
16.
A&M and Arkansas back to back,
Yeah.
and then they get Kentucky on the road, which they'll probably destroy.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens out of that. Question I got from a listener with our stagnant offense that we had this weekend, as Futch so eloquently put it. A lot of people on Twitter were calling for Jade Daniels to be benched. Do y'all agree? Do you think he should be the starter going forward, or should they make the switch to Nussmeier since he is kind of the future? And I know you got Walker Howard as a red shirt, which, I mean, I probably wouldn't burn his red shirt this season. I mean, the season just let him progress and get used to college football. But Futch, I'll let you start. From what you saw, do you think Nussmeier should be the starter going forward?
Yeah, I think Nussmeier needs at least 2 starts at quarterback, and I think the next 2 games are the time to do it in the schedule. I think that's the perfect time to do it to see what he's made of, because right now you know what you're going to get with Daniels, and I think it's the same story of guys get 5 yards down the field and all of a sudden he's taken off.
Yep.
Which, number one, gives your offensive line zero motivation to block for you. And number two, it ticks your receivers off too because they can't even get into their routes. So that's part of the problem there. Nussmeier is more of a pocket passer, and I think if you want to put the blame on anybody, I don't like to put the blame on anybody in a football game. It's a team effort, but if you want to do that, have Nussmeier go in there and figure out the problems. If he's going to be a pocket passer and the offensive line's going to collapse, the offensive line's going to collapse. You know what you need to fix.
Mhm.
But if Daniels keeps running out of the pocket, the offensive line isn't developing. And the defensive line that they're facing against doesn't even have to make an effort. They're not tired. So I think there needs to be a change there. Get some more bonding between Nussmeier and those receivers, the first team receivers, because I think that Jack Besh is a huge piece for that.
Yeah, he's non-existent basically on offense.
He's a huge piece, and I don't think Daniels has found him, and maybe Nussmeier is the answer to find him, because there were multiple occasions where he was wide open yesterday, and just not even a look in his direction.
I'm definitely not like a fan of just straight up benching him, but I think against Florida, you give him the first quarter, and if we don't do anything, Nussmeier's going in.
I don't think it's a bench. I think that Brian Kelly needs to come out and say, well, he's great with words, by the way. And I think this is where he makes a statement like, this isn't a bench. This is we're reevaluating the quarterback room. I think that's what he needs to come out and say. It's not benching Daniels. You need to make a decision. You're 5 games into the season, and something needs to happen, because you still got more 7 games, 6 to 7 games left in the season. You need to figure out who's going to be the starter for the rest of the year and going into next year.
And it might jumpstart your offense too. I mean, I was surprised to see that Daniels threw for 300 yards, but when you're down 40-13 or 40-0, you can't run the ball. You just got to throw it all. They threw like 45 passes. So that was a little crazy. Wade, what's your take on the LSU quarterback situation?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's bigger problems with LSU than what Jaden Daniels is doing. I agree that maybe it provides a jump start to the offense, but I don't know if that's a risk I'd be worth taking at this moment. I would just ride with Daniels, and you got to figure out the running back position. I mean, there's too much talent there to, I don't know, have like 10 designed run plays a game. I mean, the majority of the carries are from Daniels, escaping the pocket or whatever. And I don't know, maybe that's not by design. Maybe if Nussmeier came in, that number would be reduced in half, and maybe you would see more designed runs. But I mean, LSU had like 15 rushing yards by their running backs, so that's not going to cut it.
They only had 50 total, and I think Daniels, like you said, had 35 of them on one carry. So,
and that's including sack yardage. So I mean, he probably had more than that. So I don't know. It's just like the offense is just stagnant, like you said, and the running game is only through the quarterback. So I'm hesitant that if you took Daniels out, like, do we have any running game? So that's where the blame lies to me. I don't know if it's a scheme thing or a talent thing, but somehow we're starting Josh Williams, which is fine if he's the guy that won the job, but that says a lot about Kane and Emery that they couldn't hold him off. So
yeah, he's a walk-on.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's definitely making the most of his
he's doing
his time.
Great for his role, but I mean, it's just shocking that neither one of those guys could grab the job. So
LSU needs to figure out what they're going to run with in the backfield. I think it's number one. I don't think LSU needs to be playing a shotgun offense, because they're not. Well, I'll reference. They're not Penn State of 2016, where it was Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley in the backfield,
baby.
And throw it on a dime.
Yeah, it's not. They can't run a read option at LSU. It is not going to work, and that's what it looks like is happening. I think that whoever's quarterback, if it's Daniels, he needs to get under center and at least give his running back some sort of downhill momentum, or get into something with play action where you have receivers that can break away.
One thing that was a shock to everybody Friday night, our starting left guard, Will Campbell, is in the hospital for dehydration. There may be more to tell, but we pay people millions of dollars to regulate these athletes' bodies. And you're telling me you can't get that figured out? Like, that was a huge blow. And then, like, the third play of the game, the left tackle goes down, Garrett Dellinger. So we had no left side of our offensive line, and that might have led to Daniels running all the time. But I don't know if we can definitely say the offensive line is to blame, because, like you said, Futch, they have no reason to block. As soon as he says hut, that guy's covered, I'm gone. I'm just taking off. So, but Tyler, you had a take before the show when I brought the question up. what's your thoughts on Jade Daniels or Garrett Nussmeier?
I mean, I like getting Jaden Daniels as a transfer, but like really the more and more I think about it, like how in the heck did how did the coaching staff see Miles Brennan as like a quarterback 3? Because I mean, I just think, like Miles Brennan, wasn't, as fast as Jaden Daniels. It's not even close. But like the pure arm talent, like their receivers are pretty much non-existent this season. I mean, we saw, Kayshawn get a touchdown like late in the game.
Yeah, first touchdown of the season.
And we're in the 6th game. That usually doesn't happen with Miles Brennan. I'm not saying, Miles Brennan's like the next Joe Burrow or anything, but, he was able to, to take the deep shots. And, like, we haven't even, seen Jaden Daniels, like, launch a deep. You remember that, like, that one play, like, he had, like, a one-on-one. It was a 4th and 1, like a 3rd and 1. They decided to go for it. And Brian Kelly is, like, literally yelling right into his face, you had one-on-one. And he didn't even pull the trigger. Like, he doesn't even, like, pull the trigger when he needs to. So, I don't know. Like, he's definitely a talented, like, quarterback on the run, but he definitely has to improve. I don't think you go ahead and bench the guy because you're going on the road and you just don't want to throw, like, a sophomore out there in Gainesville. So, I don't know. I think they're just going to have to ride with Jaden Daniels. But the more I think about, like, how do you let Miles Brennan walk away? Because I think you definitely don't lose game 1.
Oh, for sure. I think just the experience alone of playing in the SEC wins you that football game. I'm wondering now if maybe it wasn't that close, or maybe if Miles just was like, you know what, I don't feel like dealing with this anymore.
It's got to be more like personal than because I think he definitely would have beat out.
I think there was some beef there between him and Kelly with begging him to come back. He comes back because he originally entered the transfer portal, but then he comes back.
And then he goes ahead and
his time to shine. Yeah, and then he gets transfer quarterback. So
I think that kind of gave him a bad taste, and after that, they just had beef. I think that's honestly it. We'll never know, obviously, but the more I think about it.
Hey, Miles Brennan, if you're listening, you can come on the show and spill all the beans. We'll let you whatever you want to talk about.
He would explain it, but hey, worth a shot.
I think it's more of Kelly wanted a fresh start at quarterback. And I don't think
it's a fresh start as a team, fresh start at quarterback, the whole deal. Yeah.
But if you're Daniels, you can't be scared to launch it downfield. I mean, you have nothing to lose anymore. You already had 2 losses on this season, so
yeah. I don't know. I think they start with them against Florida, but like I said, if there's nothing going on by the end of the first quarter,
I'm not being harsh on them. I'm not trying to, like rant all the time, but I'm just seeing how it is.
Yeah, exactly. No, let's see, we're LSU fans, but we'll tell you when they suck. And right now they're looking great. So we've got.
You'll see Nussmeier next game. You'll
Fudge
see.
is going with Nussmeier. Tyler says keep Daniels in, but actually call Miles Brennan back and tell him to come back and play.
Yeah.
And Wade says stick with Daniels until the wheels fall off. And then let's start Daniels, but if he sucks, throw in Nussmeier.
All right.
Well, that was our LSU segment. We're going to have one every week, no matter what happens. And Fudge, in a few minutes, you'll have your time to shine for Penn State's matchup next week. But we got to talk about Alabama and Texas A&M. I don't know what it is about this game. Texas A&M looks terrible for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, they play the number 1 team in the nation, and they take them down to the final play, which, by the way, was a terrible play call. You got a guy running an out route, not even into the end zone.
Too.
You're on the 1 yard line, okay?
I would have gave it to just
run it in.
I don't care. Give it to your star player. If he doesn't get it, oh well. I mean, you got to go there. Give 100%. Your star player the ball any way that you can,
or even just like a QB sneak. You got your guys against their guys and just dive.
I don't know about the QB sneak.
Oh yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
Shot. Did you see him?
I agree with that.
Nobody's expecting it.
You put Haynes King under center, put 2 tight ends and a running back in the backfield, line all 3 of them up, and just push.
You don't even put a running back, dude. You put the backup center in the backfield, and you let him just run you over that line.
Well, you don't want to show that you're going to do that.
Oh yeah, Alabama would have sacked the box if they saw like a backup center.
The box was stacked already, but what I was saying, I was watching the game. I was sitting with my buddy. I said, "Look, if I'm Bama on this play, I bring the house, and I tell my DBs, if he catches a touchdown, you're cut. You're off the team immediately. NIL deal gone. You got 3 wide receivers out there. The other 8 players are rushing the quarterback. There's like he shouldn't get the ball off, but he got it off and it ended up not being catched. We had our boy Eli Ricks finally make a play for the Alabama Crimson Tide when it matters. So But I mean, Wade, what do you? Should Alabama be the number one team? Or I think Georgia's now number one. But I
Yeah.
mean, this shows some weakness now. They got Tennessee next week. You're picking Tennessee to beat Alabama. What are you seeing from the Crimson Tide?
Well, I mean, to me, it really comes down about Bryce Young. I think that Bryce Young will try to suit up this week and play. And he was probably going to play, or I'm sorry, Milroe was probably going to play all along. But with college football, you don't have to announce if guys are injured. So they just kind of kept it vague. But I think everybody at Alabama knew that Milroe was going to go. But I think this week it truly could be more of a, I don't know, like a Thursday decision kind of thing, where you try to get both guys reps, but you got to understand that Bryce Young probably won't be able to practice in full, and you're just going based off his resume if he does play. So if he plays, I think Alabama could go in there and win, but if he doesn't, I think Tennessee's clearly better offensively with Hendon Hooker. So just because I have them winning doesn't mean I don't think Alabama's worthy of being number 1 or 2. But I think Tennessee is heating up at the right time, and they'll catch them at the right time. And
catch them in the middle of a quarterback. If Bryce Young's in there, he's probably not 100%. I mean, Milroe, I thought looked pretty good, but you could definitely tell he lacks the experience. I mean, he's a true freshman.
Yeah, and Hooker's got the most experience in college football.
He's the second oldest starting quarterback in college football, or maybe just in the SEC. That was the Affleck trivia question. I didn't see who they said was number 1. Or who
he started 2 or 3 years at Virginia Tech before coming to Tennessee. So I mean, he's plenty experienced, and I think that gives him the edge. Even if Bryce Young plays, I think Tennessee can really give him a fight and maybe win at the last second.
Okay, I like it. Tyler, what's your thoughts on the Crimson Tide? Fletch, I'm going to save you for Penn State. I want to hear Tyler's thoughts.
On like the Tennessee game or just as a whole?
Just as a whole for the year. I mean, if Bryce Young comes back, do you think all their questions are answered? It definitely looked like it when they played Arkansas a few weeks ago. But do you think it's Bryce Young holding them back, not being there, or is it just kind of their luck is running out?
Yeah, I mean, or they've already had like 2 close calls, like the Texas game and then this past weekend against Texas A&M. Like, how many lives does this team have before they lose a game? Is it this weekend in Knoxville? Is it down the road in Oxford against Ole Miss?
That game's going to be rocking if they both continue to win.
Or is it not going to be in the SEC championship? I think the defense is fine. And then you'll have Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back, which reminds me heavily of Alvin Kamara. He just can do everything. He had like over 158 yards against a really good defensive front for Texas A&M. So I think that he's going to be the X factor this weekend against the Tennessee defense that really stuffed the rush against an LSU offense. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch this game this week. It's a top 6 matchup now. Alabama's number 3, Tennessee's number 6. So I think whoever wins that we'll see them in Atlanta, barring they don't lose again. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. I guess I'll wait to give my pick on SEC talk though.
So you mentioned Alabama's running back having a great game. I also want to give a little shout out to Pittsburgh's running back. If I can get my tab to open.
So try and pronounce his name.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Israel Abanikanda, maybe. We're just going to go with Pittsburgh's running back. He had like 6 touchdowns. Sets the record for rushing yards in a single game. I mean, the dude was just a running over Georgia Tech. Or not Georgia Tech, sorry, wrong weekend, was running over Virginia Tech, and Pitt looked great. So a little shout out to that guy. But kind of shifting away from the SEC, we're giving our spotlight to Mr. Penn State himself. We got a top 10 matchup next week, Penn State versus Michigan. Futch, give us your thoughts on it.
I think first of all, this game itself has gotten a lot of attention from national media and just fans as a whole. This has always been a big game for the last 5 or 6 years, and I think it's going to be an interesting game, especially since it's in Ann Arbor this year. I think the line is 7 points for Michigan in this game, so touchdown advantage, which I think is a little much. I think it'll probably come down. It'll probably be at about 4.5 at the end of the week. But I think the story is experience versus little experience. JJ McCarthy has little to no experience at quarterback in big
Mr.
games.
McCarthy again.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm revisiting this, Tyler.
I told you we'd circle back that date.
Have they
know we will.
have they announced who their starting quarterback's going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, McCarthy's the dude.
Yeah,
Okay.
McCarthy. I told you.
I know they've been rolling with him.
I mean,
So I mean, it's going to be little experience on McCarthy's side for a lot of experience to Sean Clifford, and I think the difference is Penn State's offensive line is better than Michigan's offensive line, and I think I can say that through the first 5 games of the year. McCarthy's had to scramble a lot. They've had to dip out of the pocket with Corum at running back, throwing little screens because there's just not enough time in the pocket. If you give Penn State's defense enough time, they will get to McCarthy, and they will force turnovers. And that's one thing that Penn State will do. And secondary wise, arguably one of the best second corner in college football right now, in Joey Porter Jr. So I mean, it really could be a defensive game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in the game, really. And Penn State will probably stick to the run game for the most part. And Michigan's defense is going to have to step up because giving up a lot of points they even give up 20 points to Iowa, and that was crazy to me.
Yeah,
and
Iowa doesn't score 20 points. I don't think they've scored 20 points all year.
I think that was the most points they scored all year. Yeah,
They scored how many? 6?
6 against Illinois.
Didn't they lose 9-6?
Yeah, they lost 9-6. It's like one of the worst
What a
football
game.
teams I've ever seen in my life.
What a game. But it's one of those things where it's like if Michigan's defense has to show up, and if they don't, it could get away fast. And I'm hoping Penn State has another showing like they did at Auburn with Nick Singleton in the backfield because it's crazy. And I'm wondering where Penn State's receiver, you got to transfer from Temple, and Mitchell Tinsley, who really hasn't done much for Penn State, was kind of the guy to fill Jahan Dotson's spot and hasn't really shown it yet. Right now they're rolling with Parker Washington, who's made some insane catches in the start of this year, and Brenton Strange at tight end. So I mean, they've got good pieces that'll be there for a good while. So I hope Penn State pulls it out. I think they will pull it out. I know Tyler and I will probably talk about it tomorrow on Coast to Coast, but I think that Penn State will win the game by 2 touchdowns at least.
Okay, big upset there. Well, it's a big noon kickoff.
Top 4 team,
Eastern.
number 4 in the country with a win, I think.
Yep.
Big win.
Penn State's coming in at number 10. Michigan is number 5. So the over-under's at 51. Fletch, you think we should hit the under on our Sports Scramble parlay this week? You did say a lot of points weren't going to be scored.
I think so. I think this is a 24-17 game or a 24-10 game. Yeah. I don't see it being anybody getting the 30 points in this game at all.
Okay. Well, we might have to put that in our Sports Scramble parlay, Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
Penn State, Michigan under. Well, there you have it, folks. Go with Clifford the Big Red Dog in Penn State, taking home the dub against Michigan.
Big Blue Dog. Hopefully, doesn't take a dog.
We'll change the name to Clifford the Big Blue Dog.
I love it.
So, the Navy Blue Dog.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's got that dog in him this weekend against Michigan.
There we go. If he puts up a big game, we're definitely tweeting out Clifford's got that dog in him.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna go viral.
That's going out.
It's going viral for sure. So, you mentioned Penn State possibly moving up into the top 4 with a big win. I want to ask y'all's top 4 college football ranking playoff teams. Looking forward in the future. Mine's changed a little bit since
from last week already.
Yes, it's going to be crazy.
I know we did it last week. So
Wade, who do you have?
All right, so I think the winner of the SEC will ultimately be number 1. Shocker. So I see it panning out to where Alabama loses this weekend. You know, I've already made that clear. And then I think that Georgia will beat Tennessee at home. And then I think Georgia will keep it easy and let the College Football Playoff Committee sleep easy. that night and take care of business against Alabama. So there'll be a clear number one coming out the SEC, which will be Georgia. They're battle tested. They definitely look beatable, but I think they'll survive the gauntlet down the stretch. And so I'll put Georgia at number one. At number two, I'm going to go with Ohio State. It could be Penn State. It could be Michigan. Whatever team reigns supreme in the Big Ten. But
Not
for now,
Illinois?
what's that?
Not
said not
Illinois or
Illinois.
Minnesota?
Illinois got to score more than 10 points. But we heard all the hype about Ohio State, and they certainly look the part. So I'm going to stick with them for now. Number three, I'm going to put Clemson in there. I do think that they'll probably win out, and they've really started to look like an improved team as of late. They looked good against North Carolina State, and they looked really good yesterday against Boston College. And then at number four, I'm going to join y'all on the Southern Cal train and put them in there. I'd love to give it to TCU, but I do think that TCU having back-to-back road games against Texas and Baylor down the stretch, I think that's going to be tough, and I think they'll probably lose one of those, and I think that USC has a good chance at going undefeated, although they will have to play a very good UCLA team to close out the year.
UCLA has caught fire.
forget about them.
DTR. I picked them on our betting show I do with Sheik over there on OCSN Live. I was like, you got to roll DTR over Utah, and he did not disappoint.
Yeah.
So, Futch, what's your top four? And it's okay if you put Penn State in it.
Oh, well, yeah, of course they're in there for me.
They're number one. Okay, what's 2, 3, and 4?
Number one in the country, I'm going to give you a curveball. I'm going to put Tennessee at number one in the country. I think they're good enough to be the number one team in the country. So from what I saw this weekend and what I've seen before, big win on the road at Pitt, second game of the year.
Yep.
Went into overtime. They lose that game. They're not in this place. So I think they can be the number one team in the country. So I'll put them at 1. 2, I'll put Penn State. I think they can win out this year. If they get a big win at Michigan, it sets up for Minnesota and Ohio State really good back-to-back home games. At number 3, I'll probably put Georgia at 3 just because there's always been 2 SEC teams in, and I think Georgia does beat Tennessee in Athens. I think that's probably going to – yeah, unfortunately, 50%
So you think Georgia beats Tennessee in Athens, but Tennessee is number one?
Wait. Yeah, that would not happen. That they wouldn't put a team that doesn't win.
Let's recap that here.
Unless Clemson just
Georgia gets upset by Kentucky.
Anymore.
Unless Georgia loses another football game, I think you're going to see 2 lost teams at the 3rd and 4th spot. So what I'm saying is
you have Clemson losing 2.
Yes.
Who?
Well, wait, but you have Georgia beating Tennessee, but Tennessee still takes the number one spot?
Correct.
But then who does Georgia lose to?
Kentucky.
There's no shot.
And then they lose the SEC championship? Mm-hmm. And then they still make it into the playoffs, and then you have a non-SEC contender in Tennessee.
Look, you're looking at a wild.
You might want to swap. You might want to say
unless
Tennessee
this turns out to be
Georgia.
2007. That's not happening.
So Tennessee beating Georgia would make sense to have them at number 1. But if they lose to Georgia, there's no way.
Tennessee, let's say Tennessee does beat Georgia, so I'll keep Tennessee at 1.
Okay, that makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense.
Georgia at 3. 4. I'll put USC. I think they're good enough to win out. Even with 1 loss, they win the Pac-12 championship. I think they're in. I think either them or if UCLA wins out.
Don't forget about Oregon.
I don't think.
Yeah, you could never count out Oregon.
I think the best 2 teams in the Pac-12 is USC and UCLA. I think by far are miles ahead of everybody else.
They're going to be a fun addition to your Big Ten.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't know.
Count out
the
Oregon
SEC.
quite yet.
Hey, boys, the SEC might not reign supreme anymore after what happens.
Well, so here's from what you said. Here's what has to happen. Georgia has to lose to Tennessee for Tennessee. Tennessee has to beat Bama next week and then beat Georgia in 3 weeks or whenever they play. Okay,
well, Georgia
and they have to go undefeated. And they have to then beat whoever's from the SEC West to win the SEC championship. Georgia has to only lose to Tennessee and then dominate the rest of their schedule. But obviously, they don't get an invite to Atlanta because they lost to Tennessee. But they're good enough for the committee to put them in. That's a wild take there, Fudge. I mean, that is insane.
Speaking, they've always put 2 SEC teams in. That's what we've seen.
It's typically Alabama and Georgia because they meet in the SEC championship, and one of them loses, but it's beating the other one.
One's 1 and one's number 3, or one's 4, or one's 2 and one's 4. So they don't.
But 2 from the East, I mean, that's going to be tough because only one of them's going to the SEC championship.
Sure.
Look at the upset specialist providing logic. He's definitely.
I normally don't. I normally would have said yes, but when you said Georgia beat Tennessee and Tennessee's number 1, I was
he's
like,
usually picking some wacky playoff for us. So this is wild seeing him actually provide logic to.
Yeah. All right, Tyler, what's your playoff teams?
Well, I know that we did this last week, and my 4 has not changed because my 4, one was on the bye week, and then all the others were playing. So number 1 is going to be Alabama. I think they go undefeated. Yes, I think they beat Tennessee this week, and I know that Tennessee is going to be a sexy pick this week, but Alabama has dominated this series. I don't think that Tennessee is. I think
it at home?
It is. No, it's in Knoxville.
Ooh.
But I think, Alabama's defense will have something to say about this Tennessee. I think Alabama's defense is going to be the best defense that Tennessee's offense has faced. So I think that Alabama is going to be number 1. I think, like I mentioned, they've had close games. So I think that they got their close games out the way. They know how to win close games. So I think, Alabama, you just can't ever bet against Nick Saban and company. So I got them, the Tide, winning the SEC. And then number 2, I'm going to go with Penn State. I've been saying this pretty much for the past 2 weeks now. I was very high on Ohio State, but I think that, that this Penn State team, every year they go undefeated, 5-0, 6-0, then they lose. Like last year they lost to Iowa, and then things crumble. I think this is a different year. I think that Sean Clifford has another year in them. Their defense is really solid. I think that they beat Michigan this week, and then they pretty much beat everyone else. So I think that having Ohio State at home, having Minnesota at home helps them. Number 3 is Clemson. Like I mentioned, really their schedule is pretty much out the way. They pretty much beat all the hard teams. They have Florida State this weekend, Notre Dame, and then after that, I think it's just a walk to the park to the playoff at this rate. Their offense is starting to play good. Their defense is just throughout the charts. So I'm going to go USC 4. I think that the game this weekend is really going to determine if they're a legit team or not. They have to travel to Utah on the road. So if they win that game, like I mentioned, they still have to play UCLA. But don't forget about that Oregon team. I know that they got, drubbed in game 1 against Georgia, but they've just been blowing people out left and right.
Yeah, you can't count out Oregon. They always sneak in there at the end. So this is my top 4. This is the year, I hate to say it, that only one SEC team gets in. Sorry, Jacob. I was going to switch it to Tennessee, but I'm still riding with Georgia at number 1. I think Tennessee beats Bama this weekend, but then Georgia ends up winning.
I like that. I'm the lone Alabama, so I like that even more.
I think Georgia ends up beating Tennessee in Athens and then riding it to the end. And I think Bama probably drops another game to maybe an Ole Miss, and we see a different team in the SEC West in the championship there. And then number 2, it's any Big Ten undefeated team because I don't know whether to pick Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. It's one of those 3.
You can't do that.
Oh, come
on.
I want to
right on my list. I have Ohio State. I have Ohio State at number 2. I think they continue to go undefeated, but what I'm saying is if they lose, it's either Penn State or Michigan will take that number 2 spot, as long as whoever it is undefeated. Number 3, I'm going USC. I think they get it done this week against Utah. I mean, Utah did not look that great against UCLA.
No.
And it's going to be probably a top 10 matchup between USC and UCLA towards the end of the season. And then number 4, I'm going with Wade. I'm going TCU. I think TCU gets it done, goes undefeated for the rest of the season, and we've got a fully undefeated fully undefeated college football playoff.
4 4-0s.
4 4-0s, 4 conference champions. How it's meant to be, and it's going to be the best send off into the sunset for the 14 playoff.
I mean, I guess I have that too. I think I have all my teams going undefeated as well.
So what you're saying is that we would have Georgia face off against TCU, and Ohio State play against USC.
Yep.
That would be some spicy matchups.
I think that Ohio State USC thing is going to get a little dicey. Georgia will probably blow TCU out of the water. But who knows
I don't
what
know.
TCU
I
will
feel
look
like
like at the end of the
TCU's
year.
offense would be able to score on Georgia's
It's
defense.
just that defense, the Big 12 defense. Who knows?
Yeah, the TCU's defense would have a problem against Stetson Bennett.
The Big 12 versus the SEC has not worked out in the Big 12's favor in the past. 66-3.
Yeah, wait, 66-3. That wasn't that big of a blowout.
But basically.
But Chet, you mentioned the SEC West. What team would be the best team in the SEC West at the end of the season?
I think it would be Ole Miss, but I think Ole Miss loses to State in the Egg Bowl. But I could see State dropping another game.
So what you're saying
is also has to play Georgia at home.
Right. So I think State loses to Georgia.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. That's my upset pick going forward. I think that State beats Georgia at home. That's Lock it in.
Okay. Is that why you don't have Georgia in the?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're going to lose. With the cowbells, it's going to be too much for them dogs.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. We got some. I just realized if Ole Miss beats Alabama and then Mississippi State beats Ole Miss, well, State will probably.
I can see a world where Penn State gets the one because their resume would be legit at that rate because they would beat a top 4 team and then they would beat another top 4 team and they would probably then the Big Ten West they probably wouldn't beat a top 25 team at that rate, but they would have a really good resume to give them the number 1 slot. I could also see that as well.
So I'm looking at.
Why are you so shocked, Jacob? I had Penn State in my playoff last week and
number one. Number 1 shocks me.
Ease up. So we can change next week, of course.
I think Tennessee next week beats Bama. Okay. Now we're talking about the SEC West playoff contender. We're off the college floor because now Futch is.
We might as well.
So I think Tennessee beats Bama, and then I think Bama turns around, beats Mississippi State. Okay. State's got 2 losses at that point, or 2 SEC losses, and then. We got Ole Miss plays Alabama. I think the following week, I think Ole Miss gets it done, beats Alabama to remain undefeated. Then Georgia plays Mississippi State. Tyler likes to upset. It's in Starkville. We'll see. That kind of throws a wrench in.
I'm already locking that in.
But I'm going with Georgia.
I've had that State. In the preseason.
I'm going Georgia beats State, but then I think State beats Ole Miss at the very end to give Ole Miss that loss. But I still think Ole Miss wins the SEC West. And then we've got that's it. LSU's going to beat Ole Miss. Let's be real. But that's bias right there. But no, I think Mississippi State ends up beating Ole Miss, and it's Ole Miss, Georgia in the SEC playoff, and Georgia gets it done, putting them at the number 1 spot.
I'd love to see Tennessee and Ole Miss play against each other. That would be
that would be so.
As a fan of the SEC, I would love to see Tennessee. It
would be good for a little, breakup in the
Yeah.
Alabama and
it's going to be Tennessee's going to beat Bama, and it's going to be number 1 versus number 2 in Athens in 3 weeks.
Yeah, right? It should be.
Yeah. So College Game Day, go ahead and book it because you ain't going to get a better matchup anywhere else.
And then the next week they go to
Starkville. A lie. Wait, when is that game played?
Is it lineup
Mississippi State and Georgia?
No. Tennessee and Georgia.
It's like 3 weeks. Like they play.
Does it line up with Ohio
I think it's
State,
either right after the Florida game or I think it's. I don't know.
So
I lose track.
Tennessee versus Georgia is November 5th. The same weekend LSU plays Alabama. When does Penn State play Ohio State, Futch?
Like 2 weeks, huh?
October
29th. Minnesota and then Ohio State.
Okay. So they're going to go College Game Day, Penn State, Ohio State, if Penn State beats Michigan. And then they're going
I think they go
College Game Day,
anyways.
Georgia. Yeah, they probably will. All right. That's enough of our college football playoff. We went on a little bit.
We had 4 different ones, so I like it.
Yeah. We'll have to put out a graphic this week with our 4 for teams.
I don't know. I feel like can we wait after like this week because there's like 7 ranked matchups. So let's like
we'll
put
have
one
a
out
lot
next
more
Yeah,
week.
let's
clarity
wait till next
this
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't
So-
want like Tennessee and then they blow it this week.
Yeah, then we'll really look like a bunch of idiots. But our college football recap was brought to you by our friends over at Fanatics. If you use our link right there, you help support the show, help support your sports teams. You might have to get some new college football playoff merch because next year it's going to be something different. It's going to be last year to get to 4. So they got promo codes every day. It's always usually up to 65% off for free shipping. I don't know what the code is today off the top of the hand, but one of my co-hosts will look it up here before I finish the ad read. I went on Fanatics. They got high quality gear. You can get anything from shirts to polos, beer glasses, hats, socks, signs, pennants, the whole deal. Tyler, what is the promo code?
The
Acorn.
code is
Acorn.
Well, mine's cider.
Okay, we got all the fall codes. Last week it was fall. Tonight it's
Mine's
Acorn.
pumpkin spice latte with
Pumpkin
a
spice latte or cider.
accent on the E.
There you go. Yeah, sometimes it gives you 2 different codes, but they're going with the fall theme. So head on over to Fanatics, use code Acorn or cider for up to 65% off with
Use
our link.
Acorn.
So, all right, from the college football ranks. Well, last thing, did y'all see Deion Sanders almost get in a fight with Alabama State's head coach Eddie Robinson Jr.
Sure did.
at midfield after the game? I think it's Deion went for a deep shot. They were blowing him out. It was Alabama State's homecoming, so a little embarrassing there. But yeah, I wouldn't want to fight Deion Sanders. I know he had a bum leg last year, but I feel like he can still throw it out. Fudge, who do you think wins in a fight? Deion Sanders or a snow lion? Or snow leopard?
Bro, what?
A snow
Snow
leopard.
lion?
Deion Sanders versus
Why
snow
did you say a
leopard.
polar bear?
Snow lion, because I don't know if Deion Sanders has ever
I don't know
seen
what a
snow.
snow lion is.
Yeah.
I meant a
What?
snow leopard. My bad.
A
My
sea
bad.
lion?
If he gets a bum leg, then the snow lion.
You think you can outrun the snow leopard?
No.
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 Deion has 1.5 legs and the leopard has 4. So no, I don't think so. Makes me-
Valid point.
Makes me beg the question: has Deion ever seen snow or stood
That's a
in
good
snow?
question. I mean,
I don't know.
Dallas, it snows
Should we
a
hit
little
him
bit
up?
when he was in Dallas. I mean, who all did he play for in the NFL?
Like Tampa
Falcons.
Bay, Atlanta, Falcons.
Tampa Bay. I probably saw snow in Atlanta.
That man was never in the North.
Snow in it. Snow in Atlanta.
Yeah, it snows in Atlanta sometimes.
They played in the Georgia Dome, you dummy.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't
You might have
live
seen
in
it
the
outside,
Georgia
but-
Dome. He obviously left the Georgia Dome. He didn't
No, he
live
lived
in it.
there.
It was
That's
always
why he
the-
was such a good football player, because whoever he played for, he
He brought his
lived in their
sleeping bag.
stadium.
And
He was there.
He stayed in the suites. He didn't go home.
Hey, Baker Mayfield stays in the stadium in the Progressive.
Yeah.
Me saying snow line isn't the dumbest
You stayed
thing
at
on the
First
show
Energy
now.
Bank filming the Progressive commercial. So
Chad, I'm gonna
Yeah,
put
they-
your face on a. I'm gonna put your face on a snow line.
Have they come out with a new Progressive commercial, Baker Mayfield?
No.
No, they
No,
canceled
the
it.
new ones. The new ones are the review booth, like people throwing the challenge flag.
oh yeah.
That's the new one.
Progressive's based out of Cleveland.
I loved the Heisman commercial I saw when it was Bryce Young was late for the game when they were playing Texas, and it was Baker Mayfield driving them. I thought that one was good. Okay, enough. All right, college football talk. We're going into the NFL. Tyler, I want to know why your fantasy team sucks. You put it on the notes, so I just got to straight up.
I mean,
ask
I'm
you.
about
You
to be
said
1
my
and 4.
fantasy
I don't know
team
if
sucks.
Wade's gonna win or not, but he might be my fellow 1 and 4 companion.
I just don't like fantasy football this year, so I
Me
reserve
either,
any
Wade.
thought.
Just
Yeah,
not good.
It's just been bad.
I'm still dubbing you as fantasy football.
I'm
expert
having a
because you're who I
championship
go to.
hangover. That's all I wanted to say.
That's exactly what it is. Same as LSU. You
Yeah.
and LSU are one and the same. I hope it takes you 3 seasons to get out of it. Because
Yeah, I'm
it'll
gonna
help
get
all of us
fired
out.
and then hire a new coach and then hire
Yeah.
another one after that.
I think I'm 2-2 in all 4 of my leagues, so I'll take it. I mean,
I'm
spread at
0-5
500.
in 2 of them.
But
I wanna-
congratulations, Jacob.
Taysom Hill,
Got that dog.
40 points in fantasy football.
Was it
Dude,
tight end?
he had 4 touchdowns. Yeah,
Yep,
I had him
4
sitting on my
touchdowns.
bench.
Well, you
Sitting
can't
on my
predict it.
bench.
He just
I know.
randomly does it.
He can have 0 touchdowns and do nothing one week, and then have a week like he did today.
Yeah.
So it's
That's what
very.
I think. Yeah, you can't start on. I mean, unless you've got literally nobody. And I was at one of our leagues. I was at literally.
It was a good matchup. I mean, Seattle's defense was terrible against the pass, and as an Alvin Kamara fantasy owner, I obviously hated it because he was stealing all my. But as a Saints fan, I loved it. I mean, Taysom Hill went off. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. He had a passing touchdown, and he also had a fumble recovery on a punt, which I don't know what the Seahawks were doing on that play.
He's also returning kicks. He's returning the kickoffs.
He had like 60 yards on the kickoff. So this was definitely a much needed win for the Saints, especially with the Bengals coming to town next weekend.
For the betting people, Taysom Hill to rush for 3 touchdowns was like plus 25 million. Like the chances of it happening were like slim to none.
Maybe I should have just sprinkled a little money on it.
You know what we should do every week? Taysom Hill,
Taysom Hill
scorer. Boom.
Anytime.
So, I didn't watch the game today. How did Andy Dalton do?
He was pretty good.
He did. I mean, he looked poised. I mean, he did throw an interception, but I think the offense just looks completely different with him under center. I mean, you had Chris Olave going down with a concussion. He did get a touchdown grab too. That was just insane.
That's back-to-back touchdowns for him.
Yeah, I think having Alvin Kamara definitely was a difference maker. He had like 100 yards on the ground and then almost 100 yards receiving. So I hate to say it, but I think got to roll Andy Dalton the rest of the way. Honestly,
I definitely would.
He's got the veteran experience. So Jameis is hurt right now, so you might as well. You don't really want to keep switching quarterbacks, go from one. So I think you just finish off with Andy Dalton. I think he gives you the more higher ceiling than Jameis does.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think especially his old team, the Bengals, rolling into town.
Yeah, it's going to be a good
revenge game.
The dome's going to be packed.
What's the score of the Bengals Ravens game right now?
I think 13-10.
In Baltimore.
13-10, but the Bengals are second in goal. So
all right.
Yeah, the dome's going to be packed. Just probably in people with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase jerseys.
It's going to be like a 50-50 split. There's going to be Saints fans in Bengals jerseys.
There's probably going to be more LSU jerseys than there are Bengals jerseys.
I'll be there rocking the Joey B next Sunday. So
are you kidding me?
Get these tickets.
What are you doing?
He bought them in advance. He bought it on April 1st when it went on sale.
Futch, we need Sports Scramble live at the Dome. I'm talking pictures. You got to be interviewing people, walking up to getting their takes for the TikTok. We need some TikTok content.
Should I do it like the guy on TikTok, and he's the Baltimore fan, and he's got the laptop, and he's in the My Team meetings, at the games, something like that. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
We need we'll get you on some TikTok content. Wade, you're going to the game, aren't you?
Not in the budget.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get a bunch of content from Jacob.
They weren't my budget either. They were a gift, so they weren't my budget.
I don't think I'll be receiving a gift to go. So,
hey, if anybody's listening, you got 4 guys I would love to be at the game. So if you got extra tickets, send it our way. That's going to be a heck of a matchup just for the city of New Orleans in general. Some more, NFL football. The Thursday night game. Could that be most possibly the most boring NFL game you've ever seen? The Colts versus the Broncos, battle of the horses. Both of them suck. You didn't have Jonathan Taylor. You got Matt Ryan.
Didn't even have Naeem Hines either. Hines got hurt too.
And then you got Russell Wilson. The Broncos got duped, man. He sucks.
Yeah, Broncos country's not riding.
I'm glad
Drew Lock would probably be better.
I'm so glad that the Saints did not pursue that because
Geno Smith looks better.
Yeah. He was cooking today.
Yeah, so it's rough down there in Broncos country. And Russell Wilson had a shoulder procedure, so he's going to be getting benched for the rest of the year on my fantasy football team. We're rolling with Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett is my guy.
The Bengals just failed a 4th and goal, so it was still 13-10.
Oh, well.
So, Tyler, what happened with your boy Kyler sliding a little early?
Did you see his pregame suit? He literally looked like a freaking Jolly Rancher apple. I don't know what this man is thinking of. He's just been playing too much Call of Duty. He's going to sit on my bench. I'm rolling with TB12 the rest of the way. I don't care. I mean, I'm 1-4. Might as well tank for the number 1 pick at this rate.
Tanking in fantasy.
So if any, I'm like open
were-
to any trade right now. I seriously am. I need
Tanking
to
in
make a
week
move
5
right now.
of fantasy football. Hey,
I need to make something.
Mikey,
happen
if you're listening,
because-
Tyler would love to take advantage of you.
But yeah, I need. I think I'm. I
So
need to make a
Kyler
move.
Murray today slides too early.
Yeah.
He slides too early to not get the first down against the Eagles, to take down the unbeaten Eagles, who were my Super Bowl picks. Slides too early, and then the Cardinals missed the field goal. So the kicker woes continue into the week 5 of the NFL. We had the Giants take down the Packers in London today. The NFC East is looking pretty nasty. I mean, you got Cooper Rush, the next Tom Brady, holding it down for the Cowboys. Y'all called me stupid. Cooper Rush, baby. He's 5-0 as a starter. You got the Eagles undefeated, and then you got the Giants 4-1. You got the Giants and Cowboys 4-1, and the Eagles are undefeated, and the Washington Commanders are just nowhere to be seen. But that was pretty
Trying to tell y'all.
So,
Of course,
Trying to
what
tell
are your
y'all
thoughts
about the
on
Giants.
NFC East?
Y'all all said, even you, Jacob.
We did
said,
give
the
Tyler a
Giants
hard
are
time
going to
on
be
that.
like 4-13. I knew it. I knew that this was going to be.
They're
weird.
4-1. They can
Hey,
lose the next 12 games.
Yeah. Hey, the regular season got longer, Tyler. So it's just
Yes, I know.
another
But they're looking
opportunity.
very good. They're looking
Look,
very good.
I don't trust Daniel Jones one iota. I
don't think no one saw this team 4-1.
I trust Cooper
No, I
Rush
definitely didn't.
more than I trust.
Okay, now you're going too far.
Cooper Rush MVP end of the year.
Rush
I
4-0.
bet you it's some insane. Yeah. And when Dak comes back, I'd stick with Cooper Rush.
I mean, you got to have to at this rate if he doesn't lose another game.
They're not going to
Yeah,
do
they're gonna go right back to Dak.
Jerry Jones is going to be like, no, that's my franchise quarterback right there. And Dak, go in.
As he should.
Well, yeah.
I'm saying Dak is
they
going to
just-
go back in.
They probably paid. I mean, they paid Dak a lot of money to not have him in, so I think they probably roll with him. We've got this live shows right now, and the podcast will come out on Tuesday. But we got Monday Night Football tomorrow. Raiders versus Chiefs. Who takes the dub?
Chiefs. Blowout.
Chiefs.
Raiders are not that great, especially their defense.
I got the Chiefs winning. I think Clyde's Edwards-Helaire is going to go off.
Of course, you're saying that.
I got the Chiefs
You don't
winning.
even need
I
him to
hope
go
I hope Mahomes throws like 6 touchdowns, and I hope it's a shootout, and Devontae Adams catches all of them. So, from Mr. Derek Carr. Looking through the slate, what happened at the end of the Buccaneers game? Little pass interference or roughing the passer call to Tom Brady?
It was
to
like
give
the
him
weakest rough in the passer call I've ever seen.
But are we surprised? I mean,
No.
it's Tom Brady.
The refs love Tom Brady.
It's all about that
So-
pliability for Tom Brady.
Giselle doesn't love Tom Brady anymore, but the refs do.
Oh
So.
God, let's not get into that.
We can say
Little
that
shot
for
there
off,
at Tom
off
Brady.
there.
Giselle, if you're listening, Tyler's single, hit him up.
Oh my
So,
God.
all right.
Okay.
I can't even go
I
to
just
an
need
ad
Tom
read
Brady
right now.
to give me fantasy points. That's all I'm asking.
Look, Tyler wants Tom Brady to score a bunch of points and wants his wife. So you hear that, Giselle? Hit him up.
Would you pick Giselle or a snow
Hey,
lion?
you know who won? Hey, you know who would hit up Giselle? Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I mean,
Wouldn't surprise me.
The Jets sucked today, didn't they? I think they're back
No,
to-
they blew out the Dolphins
They
like
blew 'em out?
40-17
Oh.
because Teddy Bridgewater got hurt and
Yeah,
Skylar
the
Thompson
Dolphins-
had to come in.
Hey, Dolphins, if Chase Edmonds isn't gonna, do anything, let me know. 1 carry for 1 yard,
It's
0.1
the
fantasy
Raheem
points.
Mostert show now.
Yeah, I mean,
The
I'm not
mustard
starting
show.
this guy anymore. I drafted him in like the 8th round. I was like, that's a pretty good pick. He's running back
Yep.
1. Nope. So that kind of wraps up our NFL talk.
No,
for the
no,
week.
that doesn't
Nope.
wrap it up.
What do you got, Futch? What do you
You
got?
guys blasted me at the beginning of the season for picking the Vikings in the NFC North.
Oh yeah.
Hey, the Vikings
I picked
dominated.
them too. I thought
Leading the NFC North.
Well,
they are.
they were
Jay
dominated.
Jettis and
Yeah,
Dalvin
Jay
Cook, baby.
Jettis tore it up on my fantasy team for me. So I really appreciate it there, Jordan. Or Justin. That your older brother. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get him mixed up all the
Jordan
time.
around here.
Hey, and your Patriots, Fudge, they blew out the Lions 29-0. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, it's because they were wearing the throwback jerseys today. That's all. That's the only
They never
reason.
lose when they wear those. I swear.
The throwbacks
No,
are
they
pretty
the
cool.
Vikings. The Vikings.
They just
only
need
beat the
to put that as a permanent uni. Like, come
They
on.
really do. Yeah,
The Vikings only beat the Bears by 7 points.
Who cares?
It's the Bears.
They're 4-1. The Bears suck.
Yeah, but you only beat them by 7.
Oh, who cares?
Justin Fields
And you
played
barely
his best
beat
game
the
today,
Saints last
so-
week.
Hey! Florida State blocked the kick to beat LSU.
Okay. Well, there you go. Fair. All right. Well, that kind of wraps.
Nope.
Speaking of the Vikings, perfect segue here, Fudge. I mean, you are doing great work. Our NFL talk is brought to you by our friends over at Norse Beards. If you want your beard looking like a Viking, head on over to norsebeards.com. Use promo code OCS for 25% off. I haven't shaved, even though LSU lost. I'm not shaving.
Jacob
Fudge,
broke his rule.
You shaved. Penn State has not lost. Did they get beat by the bye week?
Yeah, they must
Yes,
have
they
beat
lost.
by the
They
bye.
lost by the bye week because they didn't move up. They stayed at number 10, and I figured, maybe they might move up because of what happened
lost.
inside the top 10. But nothing really happened, so I was kind of upset. But hey, fresh shave for a fresh start because of what's to come starting this upcoming week. So
Okay. Well,
Correct.
hey, I'm pretty sure Norse Beards also has aftershave, so you can use that 25% off. Use code OCS for all your beardsman needs. All right, we had NASCAR Neil on the show last week. He opened it up for us, and I have got a book from him on what happened. There was a little bit of controversy today in the playoff race. So Christopher Bell gets the win today at the Roval after being in a must-win situation to advance to the next round. So he gets it done. And after a pretty boring race, they call a caution, and with 8 laps to go. Apparently, there was an issue going on that drivers said had been present for over 20 laps. He doesn't go into detail on what this issue was. But after the restart, Bell hit the pits, took 4 new tires, and within 2 laps, he moved from number 12 to number 2. And they had another restart, and then he ends up overtaking that number 1 spot to get the lead. So your round of 8 drivers, you've got Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, and Chase Briscoe advanced to the round of 8. And then Kyle Larson, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, and Alex Bowman are eliminated for the playoffs. So Neil said his pick was Chase Elliott. I think I'm still rocking with Chase Elliott because he's got the most points and nobody's really passing him up. So that was our NASCAR Neil take for the week. And we'll have him on. I think once they cut it to 4, we're going to have him on again to kind of give us a recap of that. Last little thing, Futch, you lied to us. You said Draymond Green got cut by the Warriors. He didn't get cut. He decided to step away
Lies.
from the team.
No fake news on this show.
Yeah.
Draymond Green is fake news. Draymond Green is fake news.
So he issued an apology today to pretty much everybody and their mama, and especially Jordan Poole's mama and daddy. He apologized to them too. So I guess big from Draymond. He said he had an issue with letting his emotions out, which is just a big, bold lie.
He's been doing that
clearly-
his whole damn career.
Yeah, he
Let
clearly
his
let his
emotions
emotions
out.
out on Jordan Poole in practice. But yeah, I mean, he's the most
You
emotional
can't hurt the
player. I mean, they just signed Jordan Poole to a big contract. He
Yeah,
can't be taken
that's
out
like the
guy.
future. Whenever like Steph Curry wraps it up, that's going to be like the next starting point guard for the Warriors.
So NBA preseason's kicking off. Tyler's got some inside information with the Pelicans. He's got a cool new gig down there. And we ought to have some cool NBA stuff. So,
Yeah.
But I think that season kicks off at the end of the month. Is that right, Tyler?
Correct. Pell's first home game will be the 23rd against the Jazz.
Okay.
Nah. Y'all tune in. Friggin' opening night is Knicks Grizzlies on ESPN.
That's a snooze.
That ain't no
The Knicks are
snoozer.
boo.
We'll see. I think the Grizz are
I'm
probably
finally.
going to blow 'em out.
I'm just so happy that they're getting national coverage now because I spent years watching them on any channel that you could get with friggin' the bunny ears. Just in order
Bunch is out there like
Let's see,
illegally
which channel are we gonna
streaming,
be on today? Let's
illegally
see.
streaming the Memphis Grizzlies game through some like third party website.
Somebody help me out.
Boys, this is I think our longest show to date. An hour and 40 minutes. There was a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
We
there's
got
going
the
to be a
NFL
lot of content going forward, I feel.
MLB playoffs, college football, NFL, crazy top 4 upsets, the whole shebang. So if you want more of our lovely voices, well, their lovely voices, not mine, because I only do one show. You got Sunday nights with Sports Scramble, the four of us. Mondays at 3, college football coast to coast with Tyler and Futch. And Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock, SEC Talk, Tyler and Wade. So it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. As always, great to join you on a Sunday night. We thank everyone for listening. Anything else I missed?
I think
Going
we covered
once.
it all under the sun.
Yeah.
I think we
Almost
covered it all.
hour and 40.
Well, I said it a few weeks ago. I hope everyone that listens has a blessed and great week going forward, especially you four gentlemen or you three gentlemen. So have a good one, and we'll see you next week.